Top 10 MLB 1 draft pick best. Number 10, Joe Mauer, number 1 overall pick in the 2001 draft. Um, Pretty much deserving of it for sure. He is number 10 for a reason because of his value to the Minnesota Twins for many, many years. Obviously, he is the age of 33 right now, so for many people, he may be slowing down. Obviously, we're in the middle of a season, so I'm doing this in the middle of a season, which I will usually not do. But considering the draft and stuff, and I'm not too sure about these new draftees that they just got drafted, it's easier for me to do this type of videos. So overall, yeah, I mean he's 33. He got drafted coming straight out of high school from St. Paul, Minnesota. So born and raised Minnesotan right there. And 6'5", just huge catcher, and he gave them what they needed from this organization, which was pretty much he gave them the offensive numbers and he gave them the defensive statistics to pretty much thrive in this organization, and he got them to multiple postseasons. Of course, he had help from Joe Mauer. He had help from some good relievers, Justin Morneau, those type of guys. But overall, I mean, Joe Mauer brought something and really impacted this organization, which I believe he is one of the top 10 players that has ever been part of the Minnesota Twins organization just because of what he's done. Again, he's multiple Gold Glovers, multiple Silver Sluggers, and MVPs. One-time MVP, but still he's had multiple chances of it. Of course, he is slowing a bit down, which is sad to see. But as of right now, this year, he's producing well, and all I hope for is that he continues to do it because he will remain one of the best choices at number 1 overall pick. He is the guy, and he will always be the guy. So congrats to Joe Mauer. He definitely deserves to be on this list. Number 9, Carlos Correa, number 1 overall pick in 2012 draft. Carlos Correa completely deserves on this list. Completely does, just because of his impact in the short matter of time that he's been in the league. Again, I put him 9. The reason he is 9 is because he has yet to really have a stable numbers year by year for me to be like, okay, yeah, for sure, he needs to be high on this. But I think he'll be regarded as one of the all-time greatest shortstops that ever play this game. That's already off the table for me. It's hard for me to say that because there's so many great shortstops that have come on like in and out of baseball, but he's already having the tools to being one of the best shortstops that ever play this game. He's got defensively, he's pretty entertaining. He's entertaining like Andrelton Simmons with his highlight plays. He gets it done, but he's also offensively gifted, which for a shortstop, I mean he can get it done. He's a really great offensive player, and that's obviously something Andrelton Simmons doesn't really have. He's got great defense, but batting is just something different. But we don't need to get into that right now. But Carlos Correa has already mounted himself as an important piece to the Houston Astros, an important piece to baseball, and he's only 20 years old around there, so he's got so many years left in him. Gifted Puerto Rican, let me tell you, they definitely, you say a lot of things about Dominican Republic, Cuba. Puerto Rico has their fair share of talent, so don't overlook that country as well. But overall, what can I say? Carlos Correa, he's got all the tools. He's definitely got all the tools to achieve in this league. He's already succeeding very, very well. He's finally going to play his full season this year, and I'm hoping to see him get a lot bigger numbers. I'm pretty sure he'll be an all-star this year. There's a lot of things that upside for him. Again, he's rookie of the year. Like I said, already starting off really quick, and putting him in front of Joe Mauer just because of Joe Mauer is great. He's got great statistics, but I think in the end, Carlos Correa is the better and bigger and just the better option, the better draft pick that they ever did. I think Houston Astros, this is one of their key pieces that they made a pretty great pick on, and they should not regret this pick. Definitely, number 9 is Carlos Correa for sure. Number 8, Harold Baines, the number one overall draft pick in the 1977 draft. What can I say about Harold Baines other than this is a guy that people do not really see much. They don't really hear about much. They really need to respect. I think they need to respect Harold Baines a lot more because he has done a lot of things for the game, including at one point he was the best designated hitter of all time until the name of David Ortiz came into the question, and he started just going all out with that. But overall, Harold Baines was by far regarded as, you know, the best DH at one point, and he is pretty much if on a list. He's top three all time best DHs of all time. Just his impact for Chicago. I know what he's done with Chicago. He has played for Texas, Baltimore, those type of organizations, but he had a more impact on Chicago than anything else. So they need to give it up for him too as a White Sox All-Star, Silver Slugger. The list goes on and on. What can I say? But he's been he's been a pretty great power hitter his entire career, and this is something that I think Chicago did not make a mistake of drafting him just because of his impact. He was able to get homers, he was able to drive and run, and all I can say is very underrated, very underappreciated. But this was one of, like I said, one of the best offensive producers really in the game of all time. So Harold Baines for sure needs to be on this list. And lucky for them to get him at the number one pick. So good job for the White Sox for making that choice in that time. And overall, just brilliant pick. So number 7, Bryce Harper, number 1 in the 2010 draft. So he's pretty low, yes. Honestly, the other guys ahead of him. Sorry. The reason why I'm putting a lot of the other 6 guys ahead of him is because Bryce Harper still, he exploded off the bat 2015. But that's just one of his major like lifts, I guess, in a way. Like he hasn't had a great career so far with his 5 years, 2012, 2014. I'm not saying they were bad. I'm just saying he needed. This was the year for him. Was last year to really prove that yes, he is a game changer, and he has done that. And right now he's still off to a great start. So I am not going to bash on them at all. It's just the other 6 have really proven that what they did was for many years of consistent work and just consistent production and just being like dangerous to opponents, but just great to the game. And Bryce Harper, I know he will be. He's a once in a lifetime kind of player. He's a like once in a generation type player, just like Mike Trout is. Surprisingly, yes, Mike Trout is not going to be on this list because he is not a number 1 overall draft pick. Surprisingly, but what can I say? This guy is this guy has so much potential to be one of the best outfielders, like I said, all time. He is a once in a generation type player. He brings so much to the table. He's such a people do want to walk him because he's so dangerous up to the plate. Where you're like, I don't know what to do. Of course, he does not get recognition much for his defense, but his defense is pretty solid. He actually is a pretty good fielder. He's a pretty good defender, but just people do not give him credit for it. But he actually is. Definitely, obviously, there's always need for improvement, but he is already an MVP at such a young age. He's going to be multiple MVPs for sure. And what can I say? He is one of the top players in the game today. He's proven it, and I think he's going to continue to prove it. And this year is another big year for him. So I'm super excited to see where he goes this year. And Washington Nationals did a great job picking him. So number 6, Adrian Gonzalez, number 1 overall pick in 2000 draft. So this is obviously I mentioned Bryce Harper in the 6. Well, this is number 6. He's right up there, like I said, in terms of where he's placed on, and I named him number 6 because he is in the middle of really like the 5 guys that truly deserve it above him, but the other guys that were just barely they're getting started their careers or just overall the numbers aren't there, and Joe Mauer's numbers are great, but Adrian Gonzalez is at one point he was the best first baseman in baseball, and he was the most feared baseball player. Um, and I think he still is. Every time he goes to the plate, pitchers have to be very careful where they land their pitches at because he can get one and he can knock that out of the park. Such a big contributor to the Dodgers. That's actually a big deal why the Los Angeles Dodgers are where they are. Yes, they do not go too far. I do hope they do start going a little bit farther though in the playoffs. I would like to see LA a lot more in depth with how far they can get with the playoffs. But this is Adrian Gonzalez. Um, this is a man. This is a guy that will just torch you any day. Um, and I'm pretty sure. I think he's 33 right now, 33, 34. Um, he has earned all the money that he's been given just because of the productivity he's been able to do. And really, you take Adrian Gonzalez. I feel like if you take him out of the LA Dodgers, um, yeah, they have Jock Peterson. Yeah, they have Yasmani Grandal. They have a lot of players out there. Puig. But would this team be rocking it with him out there? Like with him, without him, really? With would another first baseman really cut it? I feel like Adrian Gonzalez is perfect for the system, and you need to recognize that his talent and everything that he's done, he deserves recognition. So he's a great number one overall pick that at the time he was given the opportunity. He's impacted San Diego in such a great way, and he's impacted the Dodgers in such a great way. So number five, Darryl Strawberry, number one overall in 1980 draft. Yes. Um, I am very happy because I was recently notified that they will be making a 30 for 30 documentary about Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry. I'm very excited because no, I'm not a Mets fan. I'm actually a Phillies fan. But just the fact that I get to see that, obviously I was not born in the 80s, so I did not see them. I did not watch them play at their primes. But I've heard good things, and also I've been able to look at tape. I've been able to look at old games. Don't ask me how. I just figure out a way how to do that. But and it's incredible at just how like they were just so impactful in the game. Doc Gooden was almost untouchable. His pitches were almost like incapable to hit at times. Like he made batters look foolish, and Darryl Strawberry made hitters look extremely foolish. Um, from what I got from Darryl Strawberry is he's got one of the most beautiful swings I've ever seen. Besides Ken Griffey Jr. And some others, Darryl Strawberry had such a beautiful swing, and the way he moved New York, the way he moved the Mets, it was incredible. It was great seeing him win the World Series for the Mets, but also he won for when he was a little older with the New York Yankees. But still, I enjoyed him when he was a Met for sure. Just he impacted the game so much. At number one, I'm telling you, um, there's a lot of responsibility when it comes to number one. And there's actually a lot of thing where, hey, you know what, you're drafting number one. That means they expect the best out of you, and that means you have to be really good. Like you have to put when they draft you number one, that's extra pressure for you. That means, hey, um, you're either gonna live up to expectation or you are going to be a huge bust. And he was not a bust for sure. He was an outstanding baseball player. He was so fun to watch, and for me, I'm so grateful to definitely put him on here because I'm telling you, it, there's always unpredictability about the draft, but those guys that you draft number one overall and you just have a feeling, I feel like they had a feeling, and Darryl made sure the critics did not doubt him, and also made sure that they knew, yes, our feeling was true. He is the best investment we got. It was a great investment to get Joe Strawberry number one. Number four, David Price, number one in the 2007 draft. This was actually a really good draft, like kind of a loaded draft in a way. Not too loaded, but I'd say pretty good. I mean, you had Craig Kimbrell in that draft, Andrew Kashner, Grandal, Sale, Greg Holland, Matt Moore, um, Rizzo, Duda, LaCroix, Harvey, Freeman, Giancarlo Stanton, Jordan Zimmerman, Zach Cozart, Jake Arrieta. You also had Josh Donaldson, Brett Cecil, Todd Frazier, Madison Bumgarner, Jason Hayward, Devin Mesoraco, Matt Wieters, Mike Moustakas, you know. And so out of all those guys, um, David Price was picked number one, and deservedly so. I don't think there's any question. Um, who would you pick number one if you had the choice? Of course, Josh Donaldson, Jason Hayward. That's some pretty intriguing names out there. Matt Harvey, Giancarlo Stanton. That's some pretty intriguing names to put up there. But I think David Price was the most was the one that made the most sense, and the one that I feel like Tampa Bay will never regret, just because of what he was able to do with those years in Tampa Bay. Um, Pretty much getting that Cy Young from Tampa Bay, getting to the World Series in '08 on his rookie year actually. But he was able to unleash that inner beast, on those years during the Tampa Bay years, and he made them very scary at a point where I was like, dude, they can possibly get back to the World Series. Unfortunately, it did not happen. But I mean, you have David Price, and anywhere he goes, he makes an impact. First of all, Tampa Bay, um, he was killer. You looked at when he got traded, he went to Detroit. Automatically, I was like, well, Detroit is World Series front runners. That did not happen, but he still impacted Detroit a lot in his in his days there, and just overall at what he did in Detroit for what it was worth. He was able to pitch really good games. He was really to impact Detroit and trying to get them to where they needed to go. Um, and that's something that I admire him, of course. And then um, my mom is a Toronto Blue Jays fan, so I'm very very happy to watch him when he got traded to Toronto. I was like, yes, this is a major major thing for Toronto. They needed this, and in the end, Troy and David actually was the key of them getting to the postseason, getting all the way to the ALCS. Fortunately, did not get to the World Series, but they might have almost went there just because of just misfortunes. Kansas City was a better team. Kansas City had a better roster, had a better overall team, and it was their time. It was their time, but it could easily have been Toronto's time as well. Just overall, David Price, great pitching performances for Toronto. Was able to just light it up. Now, when he's in Boston, now he's still he's doing a great job as of right now. I wouldn't say he's a Cy Young Award winner this year. Maybe, who knows if he turns around. But he's always going to be in the conversation. I feel like just because he's just so impactful with his pitches, and he really does make batters look silly sometimes. So he deserves the honor, though, for sure, to be on his list. Number three, Chipper Jones. Number one in the 1990 MLB draft. What can I say? Yes, yes, he's the top three best player that they possibly was chosen a number one overall pick. Just that what he could have done, he was the best switch hitter I think of all time. Coming to a Braves organization, winning that 95 World Series. Great talent on both sides. The Indians had great talent, great finesse. They could have easily won the World Series. Atlanta had just such a great team that was experienced, was ready to go. Chipper Jones, for many years, was going to be an impact on third base. Great fielder, got everyone ready. Was a great leader. Overall, consistent. And that day when he got out, when he retired on that last at bat, um, just knowing his impact, it made me very emotional that he was going to retire. That it was it. That was it for Larry. That it was it for Chipper Jones. Could I say Larry because there's been many times where Mets fans or Phillies fans would be like Larry, and knowing that Chipper hated his real name. That's why he went by Chipper Jones. But just overall, what he did for baseball was so mesmerizing. It was so awesome. Again, he got back to the World Series twice, losing to unfortunate Yankees teams. '96 I think should have been back to back for the Braves. So I'm not sure why they didn't win it. I feel like they should have definitely have won that game, that series. Sorry, but 99 or it's not 99. Sorry. Um, yeah, it was 99. Sorry about that. It was 99. That was definitely, that was the Yankees for sure, Yankees run, Yankees dynasty for sure. But overall, I mean, he was in the middle of that. He was in the middle of Yankees dynasties. He was in the middle of having to deal with, some Red Sox. There's some times where he just didn't get the opportunity that he really needed to get. I feel like he should have been in more World Series than he actually was in. So for me, I feel like it's a shame that he was not. It was a shame that he didn't get more MVPs. He only got one, but he totally deserves the honor. He is one of the best Braves of all time. I compare him and Hank Aaron right there, top notch, as the best Atlanta Braves players that are put on a uniform there. And for sure, Chipper Jones deserves this honor at number three. I'm going to get very bad looks for this, but number two, Alex Rodriguez, the number one pick in the 1993 MLB draft. It's hard for me uh, because I'm gonna have to do a lot of explaining with this decision. So yes, I do know about the steroids. I do know about all that. The reason why I pick him at number two, the reason I have him so high up, is because there was a point before all this steroids and all this abuse of substances where he was actually one of the best shortstops to ever, like, of all time. Like literally, they were like, "Yep, he's the best." Like there was a point where he didn't even play like 2 years, and like, "Yep, he is the best shortstop of all time." He was as a Seattle Mariner. I feel like they should have kept him there. Definitely should have kept Seattle there. They would have won a World Series right now. It would have been the World Series, and they would have won a World Series. I feel like just the stacked team that Seattle had was something. But anyway, Alex Rodriguez, no matter how many times, no matter what the steroid use, with all the, just everything, HGH, everything that he's taken, everything he's cheated on, he's still regarded as one of the most dominant players. Um, his numbers obviously are um, a little tainted because I don't know when he started, if it was his whole career, whatnot. But he deserves this high honor just because of the impact he already had as a baseball player in Seattle, getting to Texas, having that giant contract, in New York, just being A-Rod, and just having so much publicity and having so much criticism. But at the end of the day, he has to step up to the plate, and he has to perform. And every time he's done a great job of it. And for me, steroids is it definitely does make you stronger, but does it really make you perform better? As in, like, oh, am I gonna really see the ball like better? That's the only thing that I'm very curious about. Is I understand people with the steroids, yes, it's cheating, but so, since when does steroids make you see the ball better or something? I feel that's just a talent in itself. So overall, yes, the steroids are an issue, but the whole, oh, catching where, and just fielding, and just overall getting those runs in, seeing the ball where it's going. That's definitely not steroid. It's more talent wise. But that's why I could say stuff about Barry Bonds where I'm like, that's a talent though, just to see where the ball's going and see exactly where it's located and see where you can hit it at what time you hit it. That's more of a talent than obviously the power. That's obviously cheating. But I mean overall, what can I say? But A Rod did impact the game at some way. Everyone wanted to be Alex Rodriguez. I mean, all kids wanted to be Alex Rodriguez. So he has a very huge impact on baseball, and that's why I pick him number two, because he was able to produce, and he was able to impact baseball, and he still does. He still impacts baseball at age 40, and we'll see it. We'll see how he goes there from now on. So yeah, for sure. Number one, Ken Griffey Jr., number one overall pick in 1987 draft. Yes, he is the best draft pick that's ever been drafted. Number one overall pick out of all the 10 guys, out of all the 9 guys. Sorry, he is the best baseball player. I think one of the best baseball players of all time. I feel like without the injuries, he would have been home run king. I feel like without the injuries, he would have established himself as being the best player to ever play this game. So honestly, yes, I believe Ken Griffey Jr. Um, should have been better than he's. I would say if he wasn't injured, he would be better than Willie Mays and Babe Ruth. He would be number one, the best player to ever play this game. Just saying, he was so flashy. He was so great at what he did. He was so impactful. Seattle loved him. Cincinnati loved him. Uh, I mean, yeah, he was to this day he's impactful to the game just because of just his presence alone is like, oh, it's Ken Griffey Jr. It's the guy that swing was so beautiful. His, had the at any moment he was going to hit home runs. He was going to do that. He was going to steal. He was going to make these spectacular defensive plays that you're like, oh man, how did he do that? He had this flair of him where he was everything that a baseball player wanted to be and everything that was needed and expected and even more. I mean, he had the tools on both sides, and that's what made him very dangerous because he had no weaknesses in his game. And I'm very honored to know that he was an anonymous vote for the Hall of Fame. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame for sure, with Piazza, and there is no way in hell that I cannot see the Hall of Fame Cooperstown without Ken Griffey Jr. I'm so glad he got in the first year of eligibility. He is one pretty much one A. If it's Willie Mays is one, then he should be one B or one A. Ken Griffey Jr. Deserves to be in high regards in terms of what he did um, in his play. And all I can say is, yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. Just he was a monster. He was a man, and he got it done. I'm telling you, he really did a lot to just impact baseball forever. At one point, like I said, he was the face of baseball. Right now, it's Mike Trout. I totally agree with. I totally think that Mike Trout is the face of baseball right now. But Ken Griffey Jr. was the face of baseball for a very very long time, and you're gonna look at the all-time greats. He's gonna be right there. Overall, just effortlessly work of what he did, and just congratulations, Ken Griffey Jr. for making it to the Hall of Fame. Um, he should have been in the World Series. If it's one thing I would have loved is to see Ken Griffey Jr. in the World Series. What he could have done in the World Series, ooh, I'm telling you, that would have been magical. That would have been something really fantastic to see. One of those players that would, like I said, would be very impactful in the World Series. It'd be so fun to watch. He is actually my favorite player of all time. My favorite baseball player of all time is Ken Griffey Jr. by far. Just what he did was spectacular, and what just everything he's done, everything in his career, all the awards, everything, and just how humble he was about it. Everything was great. Home Run Kings, just I don't know. Ken Griffey Jr. deserves to be number one. He was the best investment Seattle ever made. Best pick for sure Seattle ever made. I think yeah, he's the best Seattle like one of if not I'd say he's number one. Yeah, he's the best um player that Seattle Mariners ever had in their history. You gotta put Ichiro on there and stuff and Edgar. But those type of guys. But Ken Griffey Jr. is the best player that Seattle Mariners has ever had in their history. So I'm sure the city of Seattle is very, very happy seeing that he is in his rightful place, which is the Hall, and he'll be there forever and ever. And everyone will know who Ken Griffey Jr. is here in Washington for the rest of their life. I'll make sure that everyone knows who Ken Griffey Jr. is because everyone should know who Ken Griffey Jr. is, and he deserves his honor for sure.